It is a quiet moment now. You do not need to hurry. There is nothing you must remember, nothing you must solve. Tonight, we are not telling a dramatic story. Tonight, we are simply visiting the past. A softer past. A slower past. Welcome to a quiet winter night. In London, somewhere in the early 1800s. This is a time before electric lights, before engines, before glowing screens. A time when darkness was real and nights were truly dark. London still breathes, but it breathes slowly. As you listen, you may begin to feel heavy. Your breathing may soften. Your thoughts may slow down. That is normal here. You do not need to pay attention to every word. You do not need to imagine perfectly. Simply let the sounds and the rhythm carry you forward or gently down into sleep. Tonight's story contains no shock, no danger, no urgency, only calm history, quiet observation, and slow moments. From a winter night 2 centuries ago. If you wake later, the story will continue. If you fall asleep, that is perfect. This is boring history for sleep. Now, let us step back together. Back through time. Back through fog and snow. Back into the streets of London. On a winter night. The streets of London are narrow, older than memory, lined with brick and stone, darkened by centuries of smoke and coal. It is winter now. A thin layer of snow rests along the edges of the road, not untouched, but quiet. The cobblestones are uneven, worn smooth by thousands of feet, by wagon wheels, by horses moving slowly through the cold. There is no traffic noise, no engines, no rushing horns, only space between sounds. A single gas lamp stands near the corner of the street. Its light flickers gently, yellow and warm, struggling against the thick winter fog. The fog moves slowly, as if unsure where to go. It curls around doorways, hovers near the ground, softens the edges of everything it touches. Footsteps echo softly. Not many, just one pair. Somewhere in the distance, a man walks alone, his coat pulled tight, his head lowered slightly against the cold air. He is not in a hurry. No one here is. Homes line the street. Tall, narrow houses, built close together, as if sharing warmth. Behind heavy wooden doors, families rest. Candles burn low. Fireplaces crackle quietly. Most rooms are dark now. Sleep has already arrived. For many, windows glow faintly. Not bright. Never bright. Just enough light to show that life still exists inside. London at night does not shine. It murmurs. A horse-drawn carriage passes slowly, its wheels creaking. With each turn, the horse exhales warm breath into the cold air. creating small clouds that vanish as quickly as they form. The driver sits quietly. No music, no shouting, only motion. Snow shifts beneath the wheels. A gentle sound, barely noticeable. Somewhere far away, a church bell marks the hour. Not loudly, not sharply, just enough to remind the city that time continues, even when nothing changes. A lamplighter has already passed through earlier. His work is done for the night. Each lamp now stands alone, guarding a small island of light. In the darkness, between these islands, the street returns to shadow. Brick walls hold the cold. Iron railings feel frozen to the touch. Stone steps glisten faintly, where snow has melted and refrozen. A cat slips quietly along the edge of a building. It makes no sound. It disappears into the fog. The air smells of coal smoke, old wood, and winter itself. It is not unpleasant, just heavy, familiar to those who live here. People of this time are used to the cold, used to darkness, used to silence. They do not fight it. They move with it. A night watchman walks his route, lantern in hand, footsteps steady. He pauses at a corner, lifting his lantern slightly, examining the street. All is quiet. He continues on. No danger, no urgency, only routine. The buildings watch silently. They have seen many winters, many nights like this. They will see many more. Snow continues to fall lightly now. Small flakes, slow, unhurried. They land on hats, on stone, on silence. London does not resist the night. It accepts it. As you listen, your mind may wander. Let it. You may notice. Your eyes feel heavy. Your breath deeper. That is expected here. The street remains unchanged. Calm. Steady. Nothing dramatic will happen. Nothing needs to. This is simply a winter night. In London, in the early 1800s. And the city continues. Slowly, quietly, one moment at a time. London streets on a winter night, early 1800s. The street remains still. No one seems to be watching. No one seems to care. And that is exactly how the night prefers it. A thin layer of ice has formed along the edges of the stone gutters. It reflects the lamplight faintly, like dull glass. Water from melting snow moves slowly toward the drain, making a soft, almost unnoticeable sound. It does not rush. Nothing here rushes. A doorway stands slightly open. Inside, darkness. No voices. No movement. Perhaps someone forgot to close it. Or perhaps someone simply stepped inside and never noticed. Curtains hang heavy at the windows. Thick fabric, meant to keep the cold out and the quiet in. Behind one curtain, A candle flickers once, then steadies. A family settles deeper into sleep. The bricks of the buildings hold the memory of warmth from the day. But now, they slowly release it back into the cold night air. Your breath would be visible here. A small cloud, rising, then disappearing. Another pair of footsteps appears, far away, slower than before, measured. An older man perhaps, or someone simply tired. He walks with care, avoiding the slick stones. He knows this street well. He has walked it many winters. The sound fades again. Silence returns, thicker than before. A horse shifts its weight inside a nearby stable. Leather creaks softly. Metal taps once, then stops. The animal settles again, unbothered by time. Somewhere, a clock ticks inside a house. It cannot be heard from the street, but it exists, keeping count, 1 second at a time. People in this era do not stare at time. They live beside it. The wind moves through the street now. Not sharply, just enough to stir the fog. It brushes against hats left on hooks, against signboards hanging above shops. A sign squeaks once, then becomes still. The shop windows are dark, covered, closed until morning. Bread will be baked again. Cloth will be measured again. Voices will return again. But not now. Now belongs to night. Snow collects in corners, in door frames, on the tops of barrels. Left outside. No one rushes to clear it. Morning will decide what to do with the snow. The lamplight continues to flicker. Unconcerned. Gas flows. Flame holds. Light was fragile in this time. Never guaranteed. Never wasted. Each lamp mattered. A woman walks quietly across the street, shawl wrapped tightly around her shoulders. She keeps her head low. Not fearful, just cold. Her steps are soft, careful. She disappears into a doorway, without sound. Again, the street empties. London streets do not feel lonely at night. They feel patient. They have learned. That silence passes and returns, again and again. A distant cart rumbles briefly, several streets away. The sound arrives softened, broken by buildings, by fog. Then it is gone. Snow continues to fall. Not enough to notice at first, but enough to change. Everything slowly. The cold settles deeper now. Into stone. Into wood. Into iron. Hands grow stiff. Faces grow tired. And so, people sleep. You may notice your own body doing the same. Shoulders relaxing. Jaw loosening. Breath lengthening. That is fine. The street remains. Nothing unexpected waits ahead. No sudden sound. No sharp light. Only continuity. The night watchman returns again, passing beneath the lamp. He does not look up. He trusts the light. His lantern swings gently with each step. A rhythm. Step. Swing. Step. Swing. He hums quietly. Not a song. Just a sound. Then even that fades. The fog thickens slightly now, softening the world further. Edges disappear. Distances shorten. London becomes smaller. Closer. Quieter. This is how winter nights often ended in the 1800s. Not with events, but with stillness. A stillness that stayed until morning. And as the city rests, so can you. Nothing needs attention. Nothing needs effort. The street will remain exactly as it is, whether you listen or sleep. One winter night, one quiet street, one slow moment, stretching gently onward. London waits. The snow does not stop. It never falls quickly, only patiently. Each flake takes its time, turning slowly in the air, resting where it chooses. A stone step disappears beneath white. Then a second step. Then the edge of the street. The world becomes softer. Sound changes when snow falls. It does not vanish. It dulls. Footsteps would sound shorter here, less sharp, as if the street itself is listening carefully. A distant door closes, not slammed, only shut. The sound travels once, then sinks into the fog. Behind one darkened window, someone turns in their sleep. No dream is remembered. No thought is finished. Just breathing. Slow. Even. Firewood settles in a hearth. A single crack. Then nothing. The houses stand shoulder to shoulder, sharing walls, sharing warmth, sharing silence. Life in this time was lived close. Cold outside, stillness inside. An alley branches off the street. Narrow, barely wide enough for two people. It holds no secrets tonight. Only shadow. Snow reaches the brick there first, untouched by boots. A wooden crate rests against the wall, forgotten until morning. Its top becomes white, grain by grain. Nothing notices. A soft whistle drifts through the air. Low, unclear. Perhaps a watchman again. Perhaps someone passing between streets. It does not repeat. The lamp nearest the alley flickers once, then steadies. Gaslight was never certain, yet it usually held. People trusted it, the way they trusted habit. And routine. Routine shaped the night. The cold presses deeper now. Into gloves. Into sleeves. Those still outside walk more slowly. Not to hurry, but to preserve warmth. A man pauses beneath a lamp, rubbing his hands together. No frustration. No impatience. Just necessity. He continues on, disappearing beyond the bend. The curve of the street hides him gently, like water closing behind a stone. Somewhere nearby, the River Thames moves quietly. It cannot be seen from here, but it can be felt. Cold air carries dampness with it, a reminder of water, flowing steadily, even in winter. The river never sleeps. The city accepts this. A light snow gathers on iron railings, on the tops of posts, on the edges of signs. Everything gains weight slowly. A loose paper, once pressed against a wall, finally loosens. It slides down, landing silently on the snow. No one reads it. Morning will decide. If it matters, time moves differently at night. Minutes stretch. Hours soften. Clocks still tick. But fewer people listen. In the early 1800s, night was respected. Darkness was not feared. It was expected. It told people when to rest, when to stop. Another carriage passes far away. Its sound barely reaches this street. Only a hint of wood, iron, and breath. Then nothing. The fog grows thicker again. Not all at once. Layer by layer. Buildings lose their height, then their detail. Only shapes remain. London becomes a collection of quiet forms, held together by memory. This street has seen centuries. Plague, fire, crowds. Tonight, it sees snow. Snow gathers where footsteps were, softening their outline, erasing their urgency. By morning, no one will know who passed. That is normal. You may feel your thoughts slowing now. They do not need direction. Like the snow, they may land wherever they choose. The street does not judge. A faint glow appears at the end of the road. Another lamp. Another pool of quiet light. Between them, darkness remains. But it is not empty. It is full of air, full of rest, full of waiting. A final sound rises briefly. Wind through bare branches. Somewhere beyond the houses. It fades quickly. The night settles again. Nothing calls for attention. Nothing interrupts. The winter street remains steady, as it has for hours. One moment blending into the next. Without edges, London continues to sleep lightly, breathing slowly, beneath snow and fog. And the street stays as it is, whether observed or not. A quiet winter night. An early 1800 street. Still, unchanged. Gas lamps, fog, and the soft weight of snow. Early 1800s London, deep night. The gas lamps continue to burn. Not brightly, not confidently. They flicker because the night is cold, and the air is heavy with fog. Each lamp stands quietly, doing only what it was built to do. Nothing more. The glass around the flame has fogged slightly now. Moisture clings to it, softening the light even further. This light does not reach far. It never tried to. Instead, it settles gently onto the cobblestones below, onto the lower parts of walls, onto the snow resting on stone. Above that, darkness remains. In the early 1800s, people understood this. Light was local. Darkness was normal. The fog thickens slowly, moving without direction. It does not roll in dramatically. It simply exists. It fills the space between lamps, between buildings, between moments. Edges soften again. The end of the street is no longer visible. Not gone, just hidden. This is how the city felt. After midnight, sounds become fewer here. A distant movement is now only a suggestion. Snow falls more steadily. Not heavier, just steadier. Each flake lands quietly, adding weight to what is already still. The gas lamp closest to you casts a small circle on the ground. Within it, everything feels slowed. Snow reaches the flame's glow, then fades into shadow. Nothing crosses this circle now. In earlier hours, people passed. Late workers, watchmen, someone returning home. Now, the night belongs mostly to itself. A lantern hangs outside a doorway. Unlit, it will not be needed again. Until morning. Sleep here is practical. Beds are simple. Blankets are heavy. People sleep wearing night clothes, meant to preserve heat. Dreams come slowly. In winter, the cold shapes rest. Outside again, the fog swirls slightly as the wind shifts. Not strong, just enough. It carries faint smells. Coal, wet stone, snow. These scents mix into something familiar to anyone who lived here. The city breathes out, in, slowly. A gas lamp hisses very faintly, barely audible. Its flame leans once, then stands upright again. Gas lighting was new enough to still feel uncertain, yet old enough to be trusted. People expected darkness. The lamps were a courtesy. Snow gathers along the base of walls, where the wind cannot reach easily. It forms shallow drifts that no one will step through tonight. Footprints from earlier are now softening. Edges blur. Depth fades. By dawn, they will be nearly gone. History here does not preserve itself loudly. It fades. The fog holds the sound of the river now. Very distant. Very low. The Thames flows unseen, moving past wharves, beneath bridges, through cold stone corridors. Water travels even at night. Most of the city does not notice. A bell rings somewhere far away. One strike. Then silence. It marks an hour, but not a change. Time continues, without asking permission. The lamplight reflects faintly, off patches of ice, hidden beneath snow. Cobblestones shine briefly, then dull again. Everything repeats. The fog grows slightly thicker again. Buildings lose another layer of detail. Brick becomes shape. Shape becomes shadow. The street turns into a memory of a street. And still, nothing feels wrong. This is how deep night behaved. The cold deepens gradually. Iron stiffens. Wood contracts slightly. Materials respond quietly. Inside a stable somewhere nearby, an animal shifts again. A low sound of movement. Then rest. There is no urgency. Even there. Snow touches the glass of a lamp and melts slowly, leaving thin trails. They slide down, catch the light briefly, then disappear. Everything here is temporary. The fog now holds light. Instead of letting it escape, each lamp glows, larger than before, not brighter, just softer. The street feels closer. Distances shorten. This effect calms the mind. Your thoughts may feel less sharp now, less necessary. That is natural. The city in this hour does not demand clarity, only presence. Another slight wind. It moves low, near the ground. Snow shifts gently from the tops of stones. It resettles without sound. The gas lamps continue. They do not react to time. They do not know. It is late. They burn until told otherwise. At the edge of vision, fog and light blend completely. There is no clear boundary now between what is seen and what is imagined. This is where sleep often begins. Not suddenly, not forcefully, but gradually. London, in the early 1800s, knew this feeling well. Without bright light, without noise, without interruption, night extended naturally into rest. The city did not fight it. Snow continues to land, one flake at a time. The lamp's glow remains steady. Fog holds. Nothing changes quickly, and nothing needs to. This part of the night is meant only to pass. Slowly, quietly, gently, the street rests inside fog and light. And if you sleep now, the city will continue without you. That is how it has always been. A gaslit street, a winter fog, a deep night. London, somewhere in the 1800s, doing nothing at all. The night settles even further now. Not suddenly, just completely. The fog no longer moves in waves. It hangs. It rests between buildings, like a held breath that has forgotten how to release. Each lamp appears slightly larger than before, its glow expanded by the damp air. The flame itself remains small. In this time, light was never overpowering. Darkness was allowed to exist beside it. Snowflakes pass through the lamplight, briefly visible, then gone. Some land close enough to melt instantly. Others settle, adding another silent layer to the night. Nothing marks their arrival. The cobblestones beneath are now almost entirely muted. Edges blur, shapes soften. If footsteps appeared now, they would seem distant, even if close. The fog keeps secrets gently. A wooden door somewhere nearby creaks once, not opening, not closing. just responding to the cold. Then the sound is absorbed. Houses breathe slowly. In winter, wood contracts. Iron tightens. These changes are small, but constant. The city adjusts itself, without asking for notice. Somewhere behind a window, a candle has burned out. A room becomes fully dark. No one wakes. Sleep in this hour is heavy and uninterrupted. People in early 1800s London were used to deep nights, without clocks glowing, without rooms filled with light. Sleep arrived naturally. The cold helped. Snow presses lightly against walls now, banking at their base. It forms shallow ridges, soft shapes, against hard stone. The gas lamps reflect faintly. In these curves, light bends. Nothing here is sharp anymore. The fog thickens just enough that the opposite side of the street can no longer be seen clearly. Presence exists, but detail does not. This uncertainty feels calm. The mind does not need precision now, only continuation. A faint sound travels through the fog, not distinct enough to identify. Perhaps a distant cart, perhaps wind moving over a roof. It does not matter. The sound fades before the thought completes. The river's influence is stronger now. Cold air carries moisture, and with it, a sense of movement. Water somewhere nearby slides past stone quietly, unchanging. The Thames remains awake, so the city does not have to. Another bell sounds, farther away than before. The note feels lower. It dissolves quickly. Time announces itself, without expecting response. The gas lamps continue their quiet work. They do not flicker dramatically. They simply exist. Reliable, unimpressive, necessary. Snow on their glass cases melts slowly, leaving faint trails that catch the light for a moment. Then nothing remains. The street feels enclosed now, not trapped, protected. Fog and darkness form a kind of shelter. This is the deepest part of night. Not many see it. Most sleep through it, unaware of how calm the city becomes. If you were standing here, you might feel the urge to stop moving, not from fear, from stillness. Cold air stills the body. Silence stills the mind. Movement feels unnecessary. The cobblestones wait. They have held nights like this for generations. Plague nights, fire nights, celebration nights. This one asks for nothing. Snow continues to fall at the same patient pace. UG. Each flake finds a place. Nothing competes. The fog holds everything in balance. Your thoughts may drift now, without direction. That is how this hour behaves. London no longer feels like a city. It feels like a breathing structure, resting, street by street, lamp by lamp. Nothing changes quickly. Nothing interrupts. And the gaslit street remains. suspended between snow and fog. In the early 1800s, a deep night, a quiet hour, London doing exactly what it should, nothing at all. The night does not move forward anymore. It feels as if it has stopped. Not frozen, just resting. The gas lamps continue. Their quiet burning. They do not brighten. They do not fade. They simply remain. This steadiness was comforting to people of this time. In a world where much was uncertain, the lamps offered consistency. The fog presses closer now, touching the glass, touching the metal posts, touching the snow-covered ground. It wraps the street without weight. The light inside the fog feels suspended, as if held carefully in cupped hands. Snowflakes drift sideways briefly, then fall straight again. There is no true wind, only suggestion. Each flake settles without sound, adding another thin layer to the city's quiet covering. The street is now almost unrecognizable from its daytime form. Details are gone. Purposes are gone. Only structure remains. A doorway, a wall, a stretch of ground. Nothing explains itself anymore. And nothing needs to. The hour is too deep for explanation. Somewhere, far beyond this street, a bridge stands over the river. Cold stone holds cold water. Neither complains. The fog carries a hint of damp air again, a reminder of flowing water, moving steadily through the city. The Thames does not sleep. On winter nights, it carries reflections no one sees. The gas lamps near the river will glow the same way. Small circles of light, held by fog. Here, away from the water, the effect is gentler, still present, still calming. The cold settles into the bones of the street. Iron railings feel heavier. Stone steps feel deeper. Everything gains quiet weight. The lamp nearest the corner hums softly, not audibly, but perceptibly. A vibration more than a sound. Gas moving through pipes, hidden beneath stone. An unseen system, doing its work. People trusted such systems only as far as habit allowed, and habit carried them. Through nights like this, snow has now filled shallow cracks between stones. The street appears smoother, easier on the eyes, even easier on the mind. If someone walked here now, their steps would feel like a disturbance. Not wrong, just noticeable. But no one does. The night has reached its quietest form. It will not become quieter. Then this is the moment between late night and early morning. A pause. The gas lamps do not know when dawn will come. They will burn until told to stop. Their patience feels endless. Snow continues its slow work, layer by layer. Nothing competes with its pace. The fog holds steady. No new sound arrives. Even distant noises have stopped trying. The city feels suspended between breaths. And then, even that sense of pause softens. The night becomes ordinary, not dramatic, not notable, just present. This is how most nights passed. In early 1800s London, unrecorded, unnoticed, holding the city quietly until morning returned. If sleep has arrived for you, the lamps will continue. If wakefulness remains, the night will not mind. Nothing here demands attention. The gaslit street stays calm. Fog stays close. Snow continues at its patient pace. London remains, deep in winter night, doing what it has done for centuries, waiting.
Thames Riverside at midnight. Early 1800s London, deep winter night. The river is already there. Before you see it, you feel it first. The air grows heavier, cooler, damp. Stone beneath your feet holds moisture now. You have reached the Thames. At night, the river does not announce itself. It does not rush. It does not shine. It simply moves. Dark water slips past the embankment, steady and unbroken. Fog drifts lower here. It gathers above the surface, caught between water and stone. The gas lamps along the riverside burn quietly, their reflection stretching and bending on the slow-moving water. Each reflection trembles once, then settles. There are no waves, only motion. The sound of the river is not loud enough to demand attention. It exists beneath hearing, felt rather than noticed. Stone steps descend toward the water, worn smooth by years of boots, barrels, and careful hands. Tonight, no one uses them. Snow collects on each step, undisturbed. The edge of the river is quiet now. During the day, boats unload goods here. Ropes creak. Men call out. Water splashes. But this hour belongs to none of that. This hour belongs to the river itself. A barge rests against the bank, tied securely. Its wooden sides are dark, heavy with cold. Snow rests along its edge, softening its shape. It does not drift. It waits. Waiting is what most things do. Along the Thames at night, the fog thickens near the water. It rises slowly, as if the river is breathing. Each breath brings damp air into the streets above. This is why the city feels closer here. Sound travels differently. It sinks. A distant bell rings somewhere upriver. The sound reaches this place, already tired. By the time it fades, it barely feels real. The gas lamps along the river stand farther apart. Each one guards its own small space. Between them, darkness stretches gently. The water absorbs light. It does not reflect it cleanly. Instead, light breaks into soft shapes, moving slowly with the current. Nothing is still here. Nothing is fast either. A rope taps gently. against the side of a moored boat. Then silence again. Ice has begun to form along the edges of the river. Not thick enough to hold weight, just enough to outline the boundary between land and water. Snow settles on this ice carefully. It does not melt right away. Cold holds it together. The embankment wall feels colder than the streets above. Stone near water always does. It draws warmth away without effort. Most people do not linger here at night. Not from fear. From cold. Hands stiffen quickly. Breath clouds heavily. The river demands respect, even when calm. Tonight, it is patient. A small wooden pier extends outward, unused now. Snow covers its planks evenly, hiding nails and cracks. The structure creaks once, softly, as temperature shifts. Then it settles again. The Thames has seen centuries. Kings, fires, crowds, silence. It carries them all without comment. Tonight, it carries nothing but itself. Fog rolls slightly thicker now. The opposite bank disappears. Distance collapses. The river feels narrower than it truly is. Your sense of place softens. Direction matters less. The lamps glow larger again. Through the fog, their reflections stretch longer. The water moves slowly enough that the shapes almost hold. Almost. Snow continues to fall, landing directly on the river's surface. Each flake disappears immediately. No sound. No trace. Water accepts everything. A quiet truth people once understood well. The river smells clean and heavy. Cold iron. Wet wood. Winter air. This is not unpleasant. Just present. Somewhere downstream, the city sleeps. Here, the river stays awake. So the city does not have to. The flow remains constant. Unconcerned with hours. Unaware of night. Gas lamps hiss faintly in the damp air. Their flames steady themselves against the cold. They will last until dawn. Snow gathers along the railings, forming soft lines. No hand brushes it away. Morning will decide. What remains? The fog now rests fully over the water. Light barely reaches its surface. The river becomes a suggestion, rather than a thing. Movement continues anyway. You do not need to see it to know it is there. The Thames rarely sleeps. And yet, it feels calm enough now to let others do so. If your thoughts slow here, the river does not mind. If sleep arrives, the water will continue without interruption. That is how it has always worked. A steady flow. A quiet night. London rests beside its river. In the early 1800s, wrapped in fog, snow, and stillness, the Thames moves on, holding the city gently until morning. Thames Riverside at midnight. Deepest winter hour, early 1800s London. The river continues without interruption. It does not react to snow, to fog, or to the lamps above it. Water at this hour belongs only to motion. Slow motion, Unbroken motion. The surface shifts gently. Not enough to splash. Not enough to call attention. Only enough to remain alive. Along the embankment, stone holds the cold tightly now. Any warmth that reached it earlier has long since faded. The iron rings used to tie boats feel heavy with frost. Snow gathers inside them, forming small white circles that go unnoticed. A wooden post near the water leans slightly. It has done so for years. Tonight, it continues leaning. Without thought, a rope stretches from the post to a resting barge. The rope tightens once, then relaxes. The river breathes. In, out. This movement never stops. Fog thickens just above the surface. Not rising, not falling. It rests there, a low ceiling for the water. The river feels contained now, as if enclosed by darkness and mist. Sounds from the city do not reach this place clearly. They arrive softened, if at all. A distant cart passes somewhere uphill. The sound is faint, broken, and brief. Then only water remains. Snow drifts down again, more sparsely now. Each flake touches the river and disappears. Not even ripples remain. The Thames accepts everything, without evidence. Gas lamps near the embankment stand quiet and spaced apart. Each creates a tall reflection, stretching downward into the water. The reflection breaks slowly, then reforms. The river never holds light firmly. It reshapes it. A small cluster of ice clings to the stone near the edge. It crackles once, faintly, then stills. Cold rearranges itself. Winter does not rush. The pier remains unused. No footsteps mark it. Snow lies flat and even across its length. Boards beneath contract slightly, responding to the temperature. Wood knows winter well. The smell here is stronger now. Wet stone, cold water, old wood. These scents belong to the river. People who lived nearby recognized them instantly. They meant night. They meant rest. During this hour, very little changes. And what does change? Does so quietly. A barge creaks once. As the water shifts, the sound travels across the surface, then fades beneath fog. No one answers it. The opposite bank no longer exists clearly. It has become shadow. Behind shadow, distance feels shorter. The river seems narrower, held gently by mist. You might forget its size in this moment, but the water remembers. It has carried ships. It has carried ruins. It has carried time. Tonight, it carries nothing unusual. Just winter. The lamps continue their work, unchanged by the hour. They will burn until commanded otherwise. Snow rests along the railings thicker now, each bar capped with white. No hand disturbs it. Morning will decide. What remains? Your thoughts may feel distant here, unattached, like reflections on water. Present, then gone. The river encourages this. It does not ask for focus. Only awareness. Or sleep. If eyes close now. The Thames continues. If they stay open. Nothing demands attention. This place does not change abruptly. The river carries the city's weight. So the city can sleep. Always has. Always will. The fog holds steady. Snow pauses. Then resumes lightly. The water flows on. Without pause. London rests beside the Thames. Deep in winter. Deep in night. In the early 1800s. A quiet river. A silent embankment. Everything continuing. Exactly. As it should.
Time loses shape here. Minutes blend into one another. Without signal. The river no longer marks progress. It only moves. Cold settles deeper. Not louder. Not sharper. Just deeper. Stone along the embankment. Feels heavier now. As if resting. Even iron seems slower. Under frost. No frost cracks tonight. The temperature holds steady. Balance between river and sky. Fog remains low. Unchanging. It does not drift. It waits. The lamps do not flicker. Their flames feel committed. To stillness. Light meets water. And relaxes. Nothing reflects sharply anymore. Edges soften. The river accepts this softness. A final sound reaches the embankment. Barely sound at all. Water touching wood. Then nothing else. The city's breathing is slow now. Almost unnoticeable. If you were standing here, movement would feel unnecessary. Thought would feel optional. Awareness could fade. Without loss. The river would not notice. Snow rests where it lands. No wind rearranges it. Everything holds. The Thames continues. As it did before memory. Before names. Before the night gained meaning. You may drift. The water stays. This hour requires no attention. No conclusion. No signal to wake. Just continuity. Just winter. Just the river. London sleeps. Beside it.
Working class homes at night. Winter interiors, early 1800s London. Night has settled fully now. Away from the river. Beyond the fog. London rests indoors. Rows of narrow houses stand close together. Their brick walls holding the cold outside. Inside. Lamps burn low. Very low. Not to save oil, but because bright light no longer feels necessary. Rooms are small. Ceilings are low. Warmth gathers near the floor. Fireplaces glow faintly. Not blazing. Just breathing. Coal rests quietly in the hearth. Each piece is dark and still, outlined by a soft orange edge. No flames rise suddenly. Fire here has learned patience. A kettle sits nearby, unused for hours. Its metal has cooled to the room's temperature. Wooden chairs stand exactly where they were left. No one thought to move them. There was no need. A table near the wall holds simple things. A cup, a folded cloth, a loaf wrapped carefully. Nothing looks hurried. Hands earlier in the evening arranged everything slowly. Families in these homes finished their supper long ago. The sounds of eating have faded completely. Now only breathing remains. Heavy blankets cover narrow beds, wool pressed close to the body, holding warmth, holding stillness. Mattresses sink slightly under weight, then stop moving. Sleep arrives in layers. First the muscles, then the hands, then the thoughts. Some rooms hold more than one bed. Children sleep close together, blankets overlapping. Their breathing is uneven, but calm. Adults lie heavier, still faster than thought. The night watch outside does not enter here. Its sounds fade at the walls. Only the fire speaks occasionally. A quiet shift, a soft collapse of ash. Then silence returns. Walls are thick. They hold sound as carefully as they hold warmth. In one house, a single candle remains lit. Its flame barely moves. Melted wax has hardened along the side, forming soft ridges. The candle was meant to be blown out, but sleep arrived first. No harm comes from this. The flame knows how to wait. Curtains hang heavy at the windows. Cold presses against the glass, but does not enter. Inside, the air feels used, warmed by breath, by evening movement, by rest. Floorboards creak once, then settle. Wood shrinks slightly in the cold. It does so quietly. A pair of boots rests near the door, heels touching. They will not move again until morning. Coats hang nearby, thick and dark. They carry the faint smell of smoke and snow. No one notices. Everyone sleeps. In another room, a clock ticks softly. Its sound does not rush. Each second arrives alone. Time moves differently indoors. It slows to match breath. Firelight lowers further. Barely visible now. Embers glow, then dim. Not dying, just resting. The room grows darker. Darkness here is gentle. It does not hide objects. It releases them. Edges soften. Shapes lose importance. The mind follows. Thoughts loosen their grip. Sleep deepens without instruction. Outside, snow continues. Inside, nothing responds. The homes of working families hold steady through the night. They do not change. They simply keep warmth and rest. The city depends on this. Morning work begins here. But not yet. This hour belongs to stillness. Fire. Brick. Wood. Breath. All aligned. Nothing to decide. Nothing to prepare. Only the long, slow quiet of winter night. In early 1800s London, the homes remain. The people sleep. The night holds them.
Working class homes at night. Winter, early 1800s London, deep indoor calm. The night grows even deeper. Even the fire in the hearth has settled into a steady glow. Each ember pulses slightly, then rest again. No sudden crack, no sudden movement, only rhythm. The blankets hold every figure. In a gentle embrace, a parent breathes slowly. A child curls tighter. Another child shifts slightly. Then stillness returns. The room is entirely patient. The walls feel alive, with quiet. Each brick, each wooden beam, absorbs warmth, and then release it softly. A cup of water left on the table reflects a dim glow from the fire. It does not move. It does not spill. The wooden floorboards sigh occasionally, perhaps a result of temperature, perhaps a long-forgotten memory. The cat stretches lazily, then curls again near the fire. A kettle sits untouched, its metal cool to the touch. Smoke rises faintly from the fading embers. The smell of coal and wool permeates the room. The air is still. The room is still. The night is still. Windows rattle gently against the cold. Curtains shift softly with each passing breeze. Shadows stretch and shrink slowly, like waves on stone. A pair of boots remains at the door. Coats hang nearby. Everything in its place. A candle burns low. Its wax hardened along the sides. Its flame dances once, then settles. Sleep has taken full control now. Even thoughts move slowly. Even memories pause. Time exists only as rhythm. Breath rises. Breath falls. The walls hold every sound, softening each movement. No one wakes. The fire shifts slightly, emboldening shadows, then retreats. Floorboards creak once, then silence. Outside, the snow continues. It settles silently on rooftops and streets unseen. Inside, warmth persists. Safety persists. Sleep persists. A small child sighs deeply, then drifts further. An adult turns slightly, then stops. The blankets form small hills and valleys around sleeping bodies. A faint candle glow touches a wall, but does not illuminate fully. Everything softens. Everything slows. Even the mind releases tension. The household breathes together, in sync with fire, wood, and stone. Each room is a separate universe, quiet and independent. No external sound penetrates. More than a whisper, the smell of old wood, warm wool, and fading coal wraps around every occupant. Time feels suspended. Even clocks tick slowly, measured, deliberate. Sleep deepens further. The night continues, without urgency. Everything is gentle. Everything is patient. Everything is still. The city outside rests. The winter night in 1800s London holds every household quietly. Fire, wood, blankets, brick, and stone. All breathe in unison. Everything exists only to support sleep. Even the smallest sound is softened. Even the faintest movement is unnoticed. The household sleeps in the long, quiet winter night, and the night carries them until the faintest hint of dawn begins far away. Night watchman and distant sounds. Late night hours, early 1800s London. The night has grown deeper now. This is the hour when most of the city sleeps, without moving at all. Indoor warmth holds steady. Breathing remains slow. Firelight barely exists. Outside, however, the city is not completely empty. It is simply reduced. Only a few figures remain awake. They move carefully, quietly, with purpose shaped by habit. The night watchmen begin their rounds. Their footsteps are slow, measured, unhurried. Each step lands softly on stone. Cobblestones feel colder now, harder beneath worn boots. The watchmen know each street by memory. They do not search with their eyes. They listen. A lantern hangs at one side. It glows small and controlled, not meant to brighten the street, only to confirm its shape. Light spills just far enough to catch the edge of a doorway, the corner of a wall, the damp surface of stone. Fog moves lazily around the lantern glass. It softens the glow. Nothing sharp remains. The watchman's coat hangs heavy, thick with years of use. Buttons dull. Fabric worn, smooth at the edges. His breath escapes in small clouds, then disappears. He does not hurry. The night does not reward haste. A wooden staff taps the ground once. Not loudly, just enough to mark the position. Sound travels strangely at this hour. It stretches, then fades. From far away, a single sound arrives, distant and incomplete. A cart moving somewhere uphill. Wheels creak softly, wood against wood. The sound does not come closer. It remains far. Then it disappears. The street returns to quiet. The watchman pauses briefly, not to investigate, but to rest. Standing still is part of the job. Lantern light shifts slightly. Fog drifts. Snow rests undisturbed along the edges of the stone. Footprints from earlier hours have softened into shallow impressions. Morning will decide if they remain. A narrow alley opens beside the watchman. Its darkness is complete. No light enters. He does not look inside. Nothing waits there tonight. The sound of water reaches faintly from somewhere beyond buildings. Not loud enough to identify. Just a reminder that the river continues. Far above, a church bell marks the hour. One slow toll, then silence. No echo follows. The sound has learned restraint. Another watchman moves. Several streets away. They will not meet. They do not need to. Each knows the boundaries of his route. A door shifts somewhere in the distance. Not opening. Just settling. Wood responding to the cold. The sound is brief. It does not repeat. A dog stirs in sleep. Its movement is muffled behind walls. No bark follows. The night holds. The watchman resumes walking. Boots meet stone evenly. The lantern glow passes over shop windows. Glass reflects weakly. Inside, everything rests. Shelves wait. Counters wait. Locks remain firm. No sign requires attention. The watchman nods slightly. Not consciously. Simply a motion learned over time. This street is safe. The city breathes slowly. Wind moves gently through rooftops. It does not whistle. It only rearranges air. A loose shutter shifts once, then settles. Snow continues to fall lightly. Each flake chooses its place. No one interferes. The watchman's lantern dims slightly as oil burns. Enough remains. For the rest of the round. Enough always remains. He listens again. Silence. Layered with distance. Silence shaped by walls. By streets. By sleeping homes. In the far distance. A second bell responds to the first. Another parish. Another hour acknowledged. Then stillness returns. The watchman adjusts his grip on the staff. Wood feels familiar. Its weight reassuring. Snow gathers at the edges of his boots. He does not brush it away. Cold is expected. At a crossing, he stops again. Lantern light rests against a signpost. Letters fade into shadow. Street names are no longer important. Only paths. Only habit. A faint metallic sound reaches the corner. Perhaps a gate shifting. It does not repeat. No follow-up sound. Nothing further required. The watchman continues on. Elsewhere, another sound drifts through the city. A single cough, muffled behind the brick. It fades quickly. Sleep reclaims the space. The night rearranges itself constantly, but gently. No movement is sharp. No sound is urgent. From the river, a low, steady presence remains. Water touching stone. Unbroken. The watchman does not hear it clearly, but the city knows it exists. Everything does. A final step echoes slightly too loudly. The watchman pauses. Listens. Nothing answers. The echo belonged to emptiness. The lantern steadies. Fog thickens briefly, then thins. The street returns to balance. Time feels stretched now. Minutes widen. Hours drift. The watchman reaches the end of his route. He turns slowly. Begins again. No conclusion. No signal. The work continues until morning releases the night. Distant sounds soften further. Even the river grows quiet in perception. Nothing presses against attention. If you listen now, you may hear nothing at all. That is correct. That is the design. The watchmen protect the city by remaining unobtrusive, by allowing sleep to deepen, by preventing disturbance, without being noticed. The city depends on this quiet labor. It always has. And so, the night continues. Footsteps slow. Lanterns glow faintly. Sounds drift, then vanish. London rests, fully surrendered to winter night. In the early 1800s, nothing happens quickly. Nothing needs to. Only calm remains. Only distance.
The watchman does not think about time. Time is no longer useful. Only sequence matters. Corner, crossing, alley, doorway. Each returns, night after night. The city remembers him, even when no one sees him. His lantern casts a soft oval of light that slides slowly over stone. Moist cobbles reflect it faintly, then release it. Nothing holds brightness for long. Cold settles deeper into the street. Not painfully, just completely. Breath leaves the watchman's mouth in slow, careful rhythm. In this hour, even breathing feels measured. From somewhere behind closed shutters, a low creak drifts out. A bed turning. A sleeper shifting weight. The sound is private. The street accepts it. Without comment. The watchman pauses. Out of habit. Listens. Nothing follows. Silence seals itself again. Snow rests evenly now. Earlier marks. Cartwheels. Boots. Footsteps have almost vanished. The city rewrites itself each night. Only stone remembers. A lamppost stands midway down the street. Its flame is steady, protected by glass. Moths do not gather at this hour. Nothing gathers. The watchman passes beneath it. For a moment, his shadow stretches, long and thin. Then it fades behind him. He does not look back. Behind windows, dreams turn slowly. Not vivid. Not sharp. Just fragments. Firelight. Warmth. Voices long since quiet. The night allows this. From a distant street, a faint metallic clink arrives. Perhaps a gate touched by wind. Perhaps nothing at all. The watchman does not label it. He waits. The sound does not return. Accepted. Somewhere farther off, a horse shifts its weight in sleep. Leather creaks softly. The sound carries briefly, then sinks into fog. Animals understand night differently. They do not resist it. The watchman turns a corner. This street is narrower. Buildings lean inward slightly, as if sharing warmth. Roof lines nearly meet. Snow gathers thick along ledges above. Nothing falls. Everything holds. His boots leave shallow impressions. They will be gone by morning. The watchman's lantern oil burns lower. The glow softens further. Still enough. Always just enough. Far away. The river breathes. Not loudly. Just a presence. Beneath the city. Even here. Between brick and stone. Its influence remains. London never forgets the water. A bell marks another hour. Its sound arrives late. Muted by fog. One measured tone. Then absence. The watchman stops again. This pause is longer. He listens not for danger, but for imbalance. The street remains balanced. Snow. Fog. Light. Silence. All aligned. A window above rattles once. And stills. Cold has shifted. Wood responds. No one wakes. The night returns to its resting shape. The watchman resumes walking. He does not hurry toward dawn. Dawn will arrive. Whether noticed or not. In another part of the city. Another watchman. Mirrors the motion. Different street. Same rhythm. They are connected. Only by time. And by silence. The streets between them. Sleep deeply. Shops lie closed. Behind thick shutters. Locks cool in the cold air. Signboards do not move. Letters painted years ago have faded gently. Nothing here demands refresh. A cat crosses a doorway and disappears into shadow. Its movement is liquid. Soundless. The watchman barely notes it. Life continues quietly. Snow begins again. Lighter than before. Each flake drifts without urgency. It touches shoulders. Brim of hat. Lantern top. Then rests. The watchman does not brush it away. Cold is not an enemy. It is simply present. From beyond several streets. A distant cough echoes. Once. Then never again. Sleep tightens its hold. The city has learned this rhythm. Over centuries. Day expands. Night contracts. But here, in these hours, nothing pushes. The watchman reaches a familiar marker. A stone step worn thin. He pauses automatically. Lantern light pulls. Stone shines softly. Nothing has changed. That is success. Wind stirs faintly at rooftop height. Down here, it is barely noticed. Air moves slowly. The watchman turns again and begins another pass. Steps repeat. Routes overlap themselves. Time folds gently. Minutes stop feeling separate. The city exists as one continuous moment. Sounds now are fewer, even distant ones. Only the faintest suggestions remain. Water below stone. Wind above brick. Everything else is thought or memory. If you listen carefully now, you might hear nothing. Not even silence. Only space. The watchmen remain. Not visible. Not intrusive. They are part of the night. As much as fog. And snow. And stone. Their presence allows the city to forget itself. To rest completely. London sinks deeper. Into sleep. Windows hold warmth. Homes remain sealed. Breath slows everywhere. The night reaches its deepest point. Nothing waits to happen. Nothing prepares. The watchman walks on. Lantern dim but steady. Staff touching ground softly. Another step. Another pause. Another street. Held in quiet balance. And still. Nothing breaks the calm. The city sleeps. Under winter sky. In the early 1800s. Protected. By distance. By habit. By unbroken silence. The night asks nothing more. The watchman no longer counts his steps. Counting belongs to daylight. At night, movement becomes instinct. Stone feels familiar underfoot. Even when hidden by snow. The street does not surprise him. It repeats itself faithfully. A corner arrives. As expected. An alley waits. Unchanged. Doorways remain closed. Their shapes softened by shadow. Lantern light travels slowly now. It moves like liquid. Pouring over uneven stone. Collecting briefly. Then fading. Will burn steadily. The flame has learned restraint. Nothing about it flickers dramatically. Nothing calls attention. This is important. Attention interrupts sleep. The watchman pauses again. Longer this time. Not because he heard something. Because stopping is part of listening. Silence has layers. Close silence. Distant silence. Silence behind walls. All of them remain intact. A faint drip reaches the street. Water melting slowly from a ledge. It lands once. Then again. Then stops entirely. Cold has reclaimed it. The sound is accepted. Without reaction. Snow has grown thicker along the edges of buildings. Rooflines hold it like folded cloth. Nothing falls. Everything stays balanced. Somewhere far away, a sleeper turns. The sound travels poorly. It arrives incomplete. Then vanishes. The watchman does not identify it. He does not need to. Most sounds at this hour belong to rest. A distant horse shifts again. Hoof on stone. Leather on wood. The sound is old. Familiar to the city. It fades naturally. The watchman walks on. His staff touches the ground lightly. Only once every few steps. Not a signal. A habit. The rhythm belongs to him alone. Fog thickens briefly, then loosens its hold. It never commits fully. It only passes. The lantern glow blurs at its edge. Becoming softer. Street signs lose meaning. Letters dissolve into shape. Street names are not needed at this hour. Only direction. Only memory. A church tower stands somewhere above the fog. Its clock face is hidden. Time is announced only by sound. When the bell rings again, it feels distant. Even to itself. One low note. Nothing else. The night absorbs it. The watchman waits. Until the sound fully disappears. Then he moves again. Each street he passes through is slightly different. Not in layout. In silence. Some silence is heavier. Some feels wide. This one feels balanced. The city breathes evenly here. Windows hold their warmth. Curtains remain still. No candle burns close enough to announce wakefulness. Sleep is uninterrupted. That is success. Snow begins to fall again. Slower than before. Each flake chooses a path. None collide. None hurry. The watchman feels snow settle. On his sleeve. On his hat. He does not brush it away. It belongs here. Cold settles deeper into stone. Not sharply. Gradually. The city contracts slightly. As if conserving warmth. Everything unnecessary withdraws. Only structure remains. Brick. Wood. Iron. Habit. Another alley opens ahead. The lantern does not enter fully. Its light stops at the threshold. The watchman does not step inside. Nothing there needs him. Water somewhere beneath the city continues to move. Not loudly enough to hear, but present. Always present. London is built to remember water. Even when streets sleep. A shutter creaks faintly. As wood responds to cold. The sound is soft. Almost thoughtful. No follow-up. The night settles back into its original position. The watchman feels the hour stretch. Minutes lose edges. Time becomes space. Movement happens within it. Not toward anything. Just through it. Another watchman. Far away. Pauses at the same moment. They do not know this. The night knows. Their routes never cross. Their silence does. Snow continues. Then slows. Fog thins. Lantern light steadies. Everything returns to equilibrium. The watchman completes his path again. Not the last time. There is no last time yet. Dawn is distant. Unannounced. The city does not prepare. It remains still. This is the deepest part of the night, where nothing expects change. The watchman walks. The streets rest. The homes sleep. The sounds grow fewer, until they nearly disappear. What remains is only presence. Only continuation. Only quiet. London rests completely. Under winter sky. In the early 1800s. Protected not by noise, but by routine. Not by light, but by restraint. The night holds steady. The watchman fades. Back into shadow. Nothing ends. Nothing begins. Sleep deepens everywhere. And the city remains. Unchanged. Calm. And silent. The city has stopped listening. There is no need. Nothing new will arrive. London is fully asleep now. Not resting. Not pausing. Asleep. The kind of sleep that does not shift. The kind that holds the body still. For hours. Streets no longer belong to walkers. They belong to memory. Stone lies exactly as it has learned to lie. Snow settles without direction. Fog no longer moves with purpose. It drifts. Because drifting is easier than stopping. Every sound has already chosen silence. Horses are motionless in their stalls. Breath slow. Warm. Invisible. No hoof adjusts. Leather straps hang loose. Wood does not creak. The city has agreed to remain quiet. Lanterns still burn, but only because they were already lit. Their light no longer travels far. It barely leaves the glass. Glow stays close. Even illumination feels tired. Windows are dark. Not expectant. Not watchful. Dark in a way that holds warmth inside. Curtains rest. Without movement. Walls remember heat. Brick keeps it carefully, slowly releasing nothing. The river continues below all of this. Not loudly. Not secretly. Simply continuously. Water does not sleep. But it knows how to move. Without sound. The Thames slides under thin ice. Near its edges. No crack. No shift. Only slow certainty. Boats remain tied. Ropes slack. Wood touching water. Without conversation. No oars knock. No chains complain. The river carries nothing urgent. Church towers stand. Without marking time. Their bells are silent. And will remain so. Hours pass unnoticed. Minutes dissolve. Time does not press forward. It spreads evenly. Snow gathers again. Along steps and curbs. Edges soften. Straight lines disappear. Geometry gives way. To comfort. Alleyways close gently. Not blocked. Just uninterested. They do not invite movement. They do not refuse it either. Nothing needs to be decided. Doors stay shut. Bolts untouched. Locks idle. Safety is no longer an action. It is a condition. Somewhere inside the city. A sleeper exhales more deeply. The sound does not travel. It stays close to the body. Dreams take longer shapes. Not stories. Impressions. Soft recollections. Without sequence. The mind wanders. Without walking. Beds do not shift. Frames hold. Mattresses remember weight. Sleep deepens equally. For rich and poor. For stone houses. And rented rooms. For attics and basements. The night does not sort. It covers evenly. A single ember fades in a hearth. Not suddenly. Gradually. Red becomes dull orange. Orange becomes suggestion. Suggestion disappears. Ash remains. Silence is complete enough. That even memory quiets. The city forgets itself. For a moment. It does not need identity now. Names pause. Borders soften. Districts dissolve into stillness. London is only mass and rest. No center. No edge. Just presence. Snow stops falling. Without announcement. It simply finishes. The air holds. Cold stabilizes. Nothing shrinks further. Nothing expands. Everything finds balance. Fog hangs in place. Like a held breath. It does not advance. It does not retreat. Light from a far lantern. Barely reaches it. The glow bends. Then gives up. Streets remain partially imagined. Corners exist. Because they always have. Not because they can be seen. The watchmen have stopped walking. They stand. Or sit. Or lean quietly. Roots repeat in memory. Feet rest. Lantern steady. Nothing requires protection. There is nothing to interrupt. The sound of water far underground continues unnoticed. Pipes remain patient. Drainage moves slowly. Infrastructure sleeps. Nothing strains. Nothing resists. The city has no questions. No answers are pending. This hour belongs to nothing. It does not prepare for morning. It does not remember yesterday. The night has length, but no direction. Somewhere a clock still functions. Its mechanism moves, because it must. But the sound is trapped inside wooden wall. Time exists, but cannot be heard. Snow insulates every thought, softening even the idea of cold. Breath escapes mouths, only briefly, then it disappears. Proof is unnecessary. Sleep is deep enough to forgive small sounds. A board settles slightly, then stillness returns immediately. The city does not react. It has chosen rest. Every surface accepts it. Stone does not question weight. Iron does not tighten. Wood does not complain. The river's surface reflects nothing. There is no moon strong enough. Clouds keep light hidden. Darkness feels full, not empty. It presses gently, like a blanket, placed carefully. Horizon lines blur, until they lose importance. Distance no longer matters. Near and far feel equal. The city's shape remains, but attention does not trace it. London is only sleeping mass now. A living thing, holding its breath, without effort. This is the deepest hour. The hour that repeats itself, without change. The hour that can last forever. Inside sleep. Nothing begins here. Nothing ends. The city remains as it is. As it was. As it will be again. Tomorrow. Snow waits. Stone waits. Water moves patiently. Sleep holds everything together. London sleeps. And continues sleeping. And continues. And continues. Loop back gently to the beginning. The city fully asleep, deepest sleep loop. Nothing changes. Change would require attention. Attention has already gone. The city remains folded inward. Breath moves slowly. Behind walls. Beneath blankets. Inside layers of rest. No sleeper dreams sharply. Dreams drift. They do not ask to be remembered. They dissolve before forming language. Beds keep their shape. Floors hold weight evenly. Ceilings remain unnoticed. The concept of height disappears. Up and down no longer matter. Only stillness remains meaningful. Outside, snow protects sound. By absorbing it, even echoes do not return. They arrive tired and fade before being heard. Footsteps would feel unnecessary here. Even imagining them feels disruptive. The streets reject urgency. They stretch out, slow and patient. Cobblestones stay aligned, because nothing tests them. Cracks sleep, as deeply as everything else. The river continues its habit, without intention. Water slides against itself. Current meets current, and agrees. Edges of ice hold firm. No break threatens. No movement asks permission. Boats wait, as if waiting was their natural state. Ropes sag comfortably. Knots loosen slightly, without coming undone. Wood absorbs moisture and keeps it quietly. Nothing smells sharp. Cold carries no warning. It settles evenly. Smoke no longer rises anywhere. Chimneys have finished their work. Even warmth has decided to rest. Residual heat stays close to brick, protected from loss. Inside rooms, air feels heavy enough to keep bodies still. Sleep is not forced. It is allowed. No clocks announce themselves. Gears continue turning privately. Springs compress and release, without sound. Time stays accurate, but invisible. Minutes pass together. Hours pass unnoticed. Somewhere deep within stone, old water channels remember rain. They hold moisture patiently. No rush to move it along. London has learned how to pause without stopping. This pause belongs to everyone. The poor rest without hunger interrupting. The wealthy rest without thought interrupting. The night equalizes. Differences soften. Nothing presses harder than anything else. The city size disappears. Neighborhoods feel as small as single rooms. Rooms feel as vast as districts. Boundaries mean nothing. Fog settles into corners and forgets to leave. It does not thicken. It does not thin. It simply remains. Lantern oil lowers slowly. Inside glass chambers, flames stay small. Light gives up ambition. It illuminates only enough to exist. Shadows do not move. They rest against walls, like furniture. Steps, rails, thresholds. All accept shadow quietly. No one looks out windows. Eyes remain closed everywhere. Lashes do not flutter. Sleep deepens another layer. The body forgets gravity. Muscles release control. Joints loosen their memory of strain. Breathing lengthens. Every exhale travels farther than the inhale. Thought slows until it no longer leads anywhere. Inside the city, everything necessary already exists. Nothing arrives. Nothing leaves. The soundscape is complete. It contains only quiet. Not fragile quiet. Stable quiet. The kind that holds, even when unattended. Snow begins again. But barely. More suggestion than event. Flakes land and are instantly forgotten. They do not layer quickly. They wait. Weight distributes evenly. No surface complains. Even roofs accept it calmly. The night grows rounder, softer. Angles blur. The idea of corners disappears. Nothing interrupts the rhythm of slow existence. Somewhere, a sleeper smiles briefly. No reason remains. The expression fades. Sleep continues. The city no longer dreams of itself. It does not imagine future streets or recall older ones. It exists in this hour alone. Complete. Contained. Balanced. Darkness presses gently everywhere. But it does not threaten. It protects. It holds warmth, rest, and silence together. The city's heartbeat is too slow to hear, but it remains steady, unconcerned. Nothing calls the morning closer. Nothing delays it either. The hour repeats, without variation. This moment may have already happened. It may still be happening. It will happen again. London sleeps, as it has many times before, as it will many times again. Snow, stone, water, air, all agree. The city is fully asleep. There is nothing left to do. There is no city now. Not because it vanished. Because it no longer needs to be noticed. London exists. Without being observed. Without being remembered. Without being named. The idea of streets has faded. They are only surfaces. Stone without direction. Snow without purpose. Nothing leads anywhere. Movement has no destination. Stillness no longer contrasts motion. It simply is. Sleep has reached its deepest layer. Not the kind that dreams. Not the kind that listens. The kind that forgets. There was never waking. Houses remain standing. Without effort. Walls support nothing urgent. Roofs hold weight. Without registering it. Every structure rests inside itself. The ground feels no pressure. Weight is distributed so evenly. It becomes meaningless. Cold does not advance. Warmth does not retreat. Temperature loses importance. Air stays where it is. Breath moves. Only because it must. Even that feels optional. Inside rooms, sleepers are no longer separate from their beds. The body and surface agree. Edges soften. The idea of shape dissolves. Limbs forget the position. Muscles forget tension. Bones forget alignment. Nothing asks to be adjusted. Nothing requests comfort. Comfort already exists. The river continues, but no longer as a river. It becomes slow continuity. Movement without urgency. Water touching water. Without sound. Ice does not form. Ice does not melt. It remains undecided. And perfectly balanced. The night sky presses downward. But gently. Not like weight. Like presence. Clouds hold darkness evenly. Stars are not hidden. They are simply irrelevant. Light has no role now. Even darkness relaxes. Shadows no longer outline objects. They spread evenly. There is no edge between shadow and surface. Everything merges into quiet sameness. Somewhere, a clock continues to function, but time has lost authority. Seconds slip past each other, without recognition. Minutes overlap. Hours blur. The night contains all of them, without sorting. The concept of late disappears. So does yearly. There is no before. There is no after. Only continuation. Snow rests wherever it lasts. It does not compress. It does not shift. Each flake remains, in agreement with the others. The city is insulated by sameness. No sound breaks through. Even the imagined sound feels distant. The mind inside sleepers has slowed beyond narration. The thought does not complete itself. It begins and gently dissolves. No emotion rises high enough to be felt. No memory completes its shape. The body floats inward. Awareness narrows until it disappears. Sleep reaches a state without watcher. No one inside the city is monitoring rest. No reflex remains active. Everything necessary has already been done. Even safety rests. Nothing stands guard. Nothing needs guarding. Locks exist, but without intention. Doors remain closed, without decision. Windows hold position, without purpose. The city has become a single resting object. Not many buildings, not many people. One continuous still form, covered by night, held by silence. Snow blends into stone. Stone blends into the air. Air blends into nothing in particular. The boundary between inside and outside fades. Warmth spreads softly until it loses location. Cold exists without sharpness. Both lose identity. The night deepens only by continuing. Nothing marks progression. Nothing pulls the city forward. It remains in this state, without effort. A perfect loop of nothing occurring. This moment has no climax, no quiet build, no resolution. It does not conclude. It simply stays. London is still here, but not as a place, as a condition, as rest, as an absence of urgency, as unbroken quiet. Sleep has completed itself. There is nothing deeper to go, nothing lighter to return to. This state does not lead back. It exists alongside time, without participating. If I play it again, nothing would change. If stretched longer, nothing would grow tired. The city could remain this way forever, without noticing. And so it does. And so it remains. And so it continues. Beyond the sleeping city total stillness state. Nothing asks for confirmation. Existence does not check itself. The city remains folded. Inside rest. There is no awareness of streets. No awareness of shelter. Only continuation. Without reference. Sleep has flattened depth. There is no deeper layer left. Only evenness. Even breath has become background. Inhale and exhale. No longer feel separate. The body moves air, without noticing. This movement does not interrupt. It blends. Inside rooms. Inside walls. Inside stone. Everything agrees to remain. Furniture holds shape. Without pressure. Wood forgets dryness. Metal forgets cold. Fabric forgets weight. All textures soften inward. Memory has released detail. Faces are not recalled. Names do not return. There is no internal voice describing rest. Silence is no longer heard. It is simply present. The city is not quiet. Quiet implies comparison. There is nothing to compare. Water beneath the ground moves slowly enough to feel imaginary, not absent, just distant beyond meaning. The rhythm of pipes and channels exists without echo. No vibration reaches thought. Snow remains uncounted. Accumulation does not matter. Enough has already fallen. More will not change anything. The night holds temperature steadily. It does not cool further. It does not warm. Equilibrium has been reached and abandoned as a concept. Clouds do not drift now. They suspend. Suspension feels permanent. The sky no longer presses. It simply covers. Light is irrelevant. Darkness has stopped trying. Visibility is not reduced. It is unnecessary. If something were to move, it would move unnoticed. But nothing moves. Because nothing needs to. Inside sleeping bodies, muscle signals have quieted. The nervous system rests. Without supervision, reflex fades into trust. There is no alert state left. Even safety has become passive. Protection exists. Without effort. A deep stillness connects everything. From roof tile to riverbed. From blanket to street stone. From air pocket to solid ground. Boundaries have dissolved. Inside and outside mean the same thing. Contained. Held. Unchanged. The city is no longer a place. It is a condition that does not end. Sleep is no longer happening. It has already happened. What remains is the result. A sustained absence of urgency. A stable lack of though. Time drips away, but no surface receives it. Seconds are not counted. Minutes no longer arrive. Hours lose identity. The night does not advance. It stays wide and flat. Nothing pulls toward morning. Nothing resists it either. The concept of later has faded completely. Somewhere, long ago, the city learned this state. It visits occasionally. It knows how to stay. Winter holds it gently. Snow insulates thought. Cold stabilizes feeling. Everything unnecessary has withdrawn. Nothing essential remains active. The city has become background existence. The listener does not stand apart. There is no listener. Only continuation of rest. This space does not fill. It does not empty. It does not change texture. With repetition, if repeated, it remains identical. If extended, it remains comfortable. The city could remain here indefinitely. Nothing would degrade. Nothing would demand. Nothing would conclude. Sleep holds itself steady. Without effort. This stillness does not belong to night or day. It exists beside them. Outside sequence. Outside narrative. This is not an ending. It is not a pause. It is sustained completeness. London remains. But without identity. Without memory. Without anticipation. Just rest. Just stillness. Just continued absence of waking. There is nothing left to describe. Description itself has gone quiet. The state remains. Unbroken. Unmarked. Stillness has settled completely. It does not deepen. It does not thin. It remains. There is no sense of remaining time. There is no sense of passing time. The city is held outside of sequence. Snow does not remember falling. Stone does not remember weight. Air does not remember movement. Everything exists without context. The idea of morning has not arrived. The idea of night has dissolved. There is only a continuous state, with no direction. Sleep no longer has layers. It has become a surface that never ends. Nothing passes through it. Nothing rises above it. Bodies rest without location. The feeling of lying down has vanished. There is no posture. There is no adjustment. Comfort is no longer experienced. It is assumed. The brain has slowed beyond cycle. Signals travel and quietly stop. Thoughts do not complete. They do not interrupt. They soften before forming. Inside the city, everything essential is inactive. Everything unnecessary has already left. Warmth does not move. Cold does not intrude. Both exist without being felt. Windows hold darkness, but do not contain it. Darkness spreads evenly. It does not gather. There are no shadows now. Only uniform absence of light. The river beneath the city moves so slowly that motion loses meaning. Water touches water without difference. Ice neither forms nor breaks. Balance has replaced change. Stone foundations rest without pressure. Earth supports without awareness. The idea of support no longer applies. Gravity does not announce itself. It simply exists. The city no longer presses downward. It no longer resists upward. It remains suspended in rest. Even memory of sound has faded. Silence no longer contrasts noise. Noise does not exist. Quiet does not exist. Only absence of disturbance. Somewhere inside this stillness, breathing continues, but it is not measured. It does not count. It does not pause. It simply occurs. Sleep no longer protects itself. Protection implies effort. Effort has ended. Doors do not guard. Walls do not enclose. They simply remain. The city has become a single unmoving field. No center. No edge. No pathway. Distance is meaningless. Near and far no longer separate. Every place feels identical to every other. The mind cannot travel. There is nowhere to go. There is no need to stay. Stillness is complete. Awareness has stepped away. There is no observer. There is no observed. Only a stable condition. Without witness. Snow may still be present. Or it may not. The difference does not register. White and dark have merged. Contrast has softened until it disappeared. The city is not abandoned. It is fulfilled. Nothing is missing. Nothing is added. Time loops without looping. Repetition does not accumulate. Length has no effect. If this moment extends, nothing changes. If it repeats, nothing differs. The night does not age. The city does not wait. Waiting implies expectation. Expectation has ended. The state continues because it has no reason not to. There is no signal that could break it. No sound loud enough. No light strong enough. No thought sharp enough. Everything dissolves before reaching awareness. Inside sleepers, muscles no longer remember tension. Nerves do not report. Reflex is unnecessary. The body trusts completely. Sleep has removed oversight. The city rests without supervision. This rest does not waver. It does not drift. It does not settle further. It is already settled. The air does not circulate. It stays in place, like a held breath that never needs release. Pressure equalizes everywhere. Nothing pushes. Nothing pulls. This is not silence. This is pre-sound. This is not darkness. This is pre-light. This is not sleep. This is what remains. After sleep finishes, the city has crossed beyond rest, beyond awareness, beyond care. London exists without being London, without name, without history, without future, as matter, as calm, as suspended presence. Nothing calls this state back. Nothing invites return. Morning may arrive elsewhere, but not here. Here, the condition continues. Stable, uniform, uninterrupted. The city has become a single held moment. Not frozen, not paused, simply unchanging. This state contains no ending, no beginning, no variation. It is safe to remain. It is effortless to stay. Nothing will wake. Nothing will stir. Nothing will be noticed. The state remains, and remains, and remains, without signal, without transition, without conclusion. Nothing moves forward. Nothing moves back. Movement itself has stepped aside. The city is no longer sleeping. Sleep has finished. What remains does not need a name. There is no awareness of rest, no awareness of being at peace. Only a quiet condition that does not notice itself. London no longer exists as place or form. It exists as absence of disturbance. The idea of buildings has faded, not collapsed, simply unnecessary. Walls are remembered by nothing. Streets are not recalled. The river does not identify as water. Air does not identify as air. Everything has released its label. Temperature has lost direction. Cold is not cold. Warmth is not warm. Both exist without being felt. Breathing continues, but is no longer sensed. It happens outside attention. The body does not check itself. The mind does not hover. Oversight is gone. This state does not monitor. It does not protect. It does not prepare. It simply stays. There are no edges, no boundaries between inside and outside, between body and space, between object and background. Everything has blended into evenness. The city has become a flat field of presence. Not empty. Not full. Balanced. Time is no longer passing. It is no longer waiting. It is not looping. It simply does not apply. There is no moment before this. There is no moment after. This condition exists beside sequence. Clocks may still turn, but turning has no effect. Seconds cannot land here. Minutes dissolve immediately. Hours do not form. Night does not progress. Morning is not approaching. Dawn is not expected. Expectation itself has faded. Snow may still rest on stone, or it may not. The difference does not matter. White has merged with dark. Contrast has relaxed completely. Even memory of contrast has softened away. The nervous system has gone quiet. Signals no longer report. Reflex is unnecessary. Alertness has fully dissolved. Nothing can surprise, because nothing is anticipated. The body rests without being a body. Weight is supported without awareness of support. Gravity exists, but does not announce itself. The ground does not feel pressure. The sky does not feel height. Up and down have lost meaning. Direction no longer applies. There is no here. There is no there. Only continuation. This is not silence. Silence implies listening. Listening has ended. This is not darkness. Darkness implies sight. Sight has ended. This state sits before perception, before interpretation, before identity. The city is not gone. It is simply not being referenced. History is not recalled. Future is not imagined. The present does not announce itself. The condition is stable. So stable that repetition does nothing. So stable that extension changes nothing. This space can last forever, without wearing thin. Nothing accumulates. Nothing erodes. Nothing sharp emerges. Everything unnecessary has already withdrawn. There is nothing left to remove. There is nothing left to add. The listener is not separate, because there is no listening. Only presence. Without focus. Only existence. Without inquiry. This is not an ending. It is not a beginning. It is sustained neutrality. A place where nothing happens. Because nothing needs to. If the city were to return, it would return gently, without disruption, without memory of absence. But it does not return now. Now does not exist. Only this condition remains. Unchanged. Unconcerned. Unaware. The final layer of rest holds everything evenly. No depth remains to fall through. No surface remains to rise to. This is the quiet. After all quiet. The stillness. After all stillness. The state. After sleep finishes. Nothing stirs. Nothing signals. Nothing concludes. And so it stays. And stays. And stays. Movement itself has stepped aside. The city is no longer sleeping. Sleep has finished. What remains? does not need a name. There is no awareness of rest, no awareness of being at peace, only a quiet condition that does not notice itself. London no longer exists as place or form. It exists as absence of disturbance. The idea of buildings has faded, not collapsed, simply unnecessary. Walls are remembered by nothing. Streets are not recalled. The river does not identify as water. Air does not identify as air. Everything has released its label. Temperature has lost direction. Cold is not cold. Warmth is not warm. Both exist without being felt. Breathing continues, but is no longer sensed. It happens outside attention. The body does not check itself. The mind does not hover. Oversight is gone. This state does not monitor. It does not protect. It does not prepare. It simply stays. There are no edges, no boundaries between inside and outside, between body and space, between object and background. Everything has blended into evenness. The city has become a flat field of presence, not empty, not full, balanced. Time is no longer passing. It is no longer waiting. It is not looping. It simply does not apply. There is no moment before this. There is no moment after. This condition exists beside sequence. Clocks may still turn, but turning has no effect. Seconds cannot land here. Minutes dissolve immediately. Hours do not form. Night does not progress. Morning is not approaching. Dawn is not expected. Expectation itself has faded. Snow may still rest on stone, or it may not. The difference does not matter. White has merged with dark. Contrast has relaxed completely. Even memory of contrast has softened away. The nervous system has gone quiet. Signals no longer report. Reflex is unnecessary. Alertness has fully dissolved. Nothing can surprise, because nothing is anticipated. The body rests without being a body. Weight is supported without awareness of support. Gravity exists, but does not announce itself. The ground does not feel pressure. The sky does not feel height. Up and down have lost meaning. Direction no longer applies. There is no here. There is no there. Only continuation. This is not silence. Silence implies listening. Listening has ended. This is not darkness. Darkness implies sight. Sight has ended. This state sits before perception, before interpretation, before identity. The city is not gone. It is simply not being referenced. History is not recalled. Future is not imagined. The present does not announce itself. The condition is stable. So stable that repetition does nothing. So stable that extension changes nothing. This space can last forever without wearing thin. Nothing accumulates. Nothing erodes. Nothing sharp emerges. Everything unnecessary has already withdrawn. There is nothing left to remove. There is nothing left to add. The listener is not separate, because there is no listening, only presence. Without focus, only existence. Without inquiry, this is not an ending. It is not a beginning. It is sustained neutrality, a place where nothing happens, because nothing needs to. If the city were to return, it would return gently, without disruption, without memory of absence. But it does not return now. Now does not exist. Only this condition remains. Unchanged, unconcerned, unaware. The final layer of rest holds everything evenly. No depth remains to fall through. No surface remains to rise to. This is the quiet. After all quiet. The stillness. After all stillness. The state. After sleep finishes. Nothing stirs. Nothing signals. Nothing concludes. And so it stays. And stays. And stays. The condition does not shift. It does not stabilize further. There is nothing left to stabilize. The city has passed beyond experience. Not erased. Released. Nothing checks whether it exists. Nothing confirms presence. Presence does not require confirmation. Awareness has stepped aside completely. There is no witness remaining. No watcher. No sleeper. No dreamer. Only an uninterrupted field. Without contrast. Breathing happens, but no longer separates moments. Air enters. Air leaves. The distinction carries no importance. The body does not track itself. Systems function. Without feedback. Signals dissolve. Before reaching meaning, the idea of comfort is gone. Comfort implies comparison. There is nothing to compare. The ground does not feel solid. The surface does not feel soft. Texture has withdrawn its claim. Weight exists. Without registering. Support happens. Without sensation. Nothing presses. Nothing is relieved. The city's materials have lost individuality. Stone is no longer dense. Wood is no longer light. Metal is no longer cold. All qualities have softened into neutrality. Snow is no longer snow. It is simply presence. Resting on presence. Darkness is no longer dark. It is undifferentiated space. Light has no memory here. Even absence of light has no edge. There is no horizon. No vertical. No depth. Space does not open. Space does not close. It simply remains evenly distributed. The river is no longer flowing. Flow implies direction. Direction has dissolved. Water is simply continuity. Without texture. Movement occurs, but does not progress. It circles without returning. It rests without stopping. Time cannot enter this state. It has nowhere to attach. Seconds fall through unnoticed. Minutes do not form. Hours cannot gather. Sequence has no surface here. Nothing remembers the night. Nothing anticipates the morning. Past and future. have equal weight, which is none. Inside minds, thought has released form. Images do not appear. Words do not assemble. Meaning does not rise. There is no frustration. There is no relief. These require awareness. Awareness has left. The nervous system rests without command. Reflex no longer checks safety. Safety is no longer relevant. Not because danger exists. Because relevance has ended. The city is not safe. It is beyond unsafe. Beyond safe. Beyond evaluation. Every structure stands without being a structure. Roofs hold nothing. Floors support nothing. They simply remain. Remaining requires no effort. Nothing here requires effort. Not even stillness. Stillness implies restraint. Restraint implies decision. Decision is gone. This state does not choose to stay. It stays because leaving does not exist. There is no edge to cross. No threshold to pass. No return path. No forward path. Only an even plane. Without markers. If awareness were to glance here, it would not recognize anything. But awareness does not glance. There is no curiosity left. Curiosity belongs to waking. Waking has not arrived. Sleep has finished. And has not reversed. What remains does not belong to sleep, nor to wakefulness. It belongs to neither. It simply persists. This state has no quality that can be intensified, no feature that can fade, no tone that can shift. It is immune to duration. Longer does not change it. Shorter would not reveal it. It is complete at any length. Repeating this moment creates no echo. Extending it creates no tension. There is no plateau. There is no descent. Only a sustained absence of differentiation. The city is no longer London. Not because it disappeared. Because names require distinction. Distinction has dissolved. History does not reach here. Memory cannot hold shape. Stories do not assemble. Identity does not anchor. The place has become pure background. Not empty background. Neutral background. A medium that carries nothing forward. A medium that holds nothing back. Existence continues without participation. Participation implies intent. Intent has no role here. The condition remains without reinforcement, without decay, without energy. Nothing feeds it. Nothing drains it. This stillness does not depend on winter. It does not depend on night. Those are simply paths that led here. Now the path is gone. Only arrival remains. An arrival has no excitement, no awareness of arriving, no sense of completion. Completion implies comparison. Nothing compares. The city has not ended. It has finished transitioning. What remains requires nothing else. If dawn were to happen elsewhere, it would not reach here. If sound were to form elsewhere, it would dissolve before arriving. This state filters everything. Not by resistance, by indifference. Indifference here is not neglect. It is balance. Perfect, effortless balance. The condition could last an instant. It could last centuries. Duration cannot touch it. There is no accumulation. There is no erosion. Nothing sharp enters. Nothing soft leaves. This is not peace. Peace implies contrast. This is not calm. Calm implies relief. This is pre-emotion, pre-distinction, pre-experience. The final quiet, where nothing is labeled, where nothing responds, where nothing is required. And so it continues. Not forward, not backward. Simply continuing. The state remains. Unobserved. Unchanged. Unaware.